magic in the air.
Hey guys, welcome to Jammin' and Jammies. My name's Megan Barker, and if you don't know what Jammin' and Jammies is, it is a live show that happens here in Nashville, and we feature hit songwriters, rising artists in their pajamas. It's super fun. Obviously, right now we're doing everything via live stream every Sunday night on our Instagram, so make sure that you tune into that. But while we're all sitting at home in our pajamas anyway, we thought it would be super fun to do some more kind of in-depth interviews with some of our favorite songwriters and people that we look up to. So today we are lucky enough to have Mr. Forrest Whitehead joining us, and he's a noted songwriter and producer. You have probably heard his #1 hits, Love Me Like You Mean It and Peter Pan by Kelsea Ballerini. You've probably heard them. And he's got numerous other cuts as well, and we're just gonna dive in and pick his brain about everything. How you doing, Forrest? Thanks for being here.
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, do you want to just kind of talk about who you are and who your influences are, or just tell us about Forrest as a person?
Okay. Well, I come from a little town, Blanchard, Louisiana. I grew up there. Didn't, I guess, explore many places other than Blanchard growing up, but I always played music and was influenced by, whether it be playing at church or in bands. I had a band with a couple of friends of mine that we just played around town or, in Arkansas, East Texas, those things. Never really traveled too far. But it was enough to kind of, I guess, just put that wonder of like, is there something more to this whole music thing? And I guess at 18, how I decided that, well, I decided, it's just that feeling of like, I just remember being in my parents' house one day and just this feeling dropped in my spirit or whatever. It's like, you're going to go to Nashville, and it wasn't like a decision I made or anything. It was just more of like a overwhelming thing of like, all right, this is the next step to like take it farther. And so that was probably 2009. And I moved up here in October 21st, 2009 was the day that I rolled into town. And it was just a lot of learning experience from 2009 to 2011, signing my first deal. And there's quite a bit of trial and error in that time. And then even after that, I mean, you can't be in Nashville and do this music thing without just absorbing so much and falling on your face and getting back up and falling more on your face. And, it's just, I have a heart for songwriters and also for this town and the people in this town. When I got here, I studied songwriters. I found out like everything I could and looked up all the credits and was just a student of Nashville. And I feel like that's what you kind of have to do to really learn who's writing in which circles and what songs they've written and what they're bringing to the table as far as like okay, these people write together and this group produces these style of records, and you don't know all that till you get here and kind of get in the community and study the craft. So that's been kind of what I've been doing the last 10 years, is just trying to study it and get better.
That's awesome. That's amazing. I love that you've been here a decade. I think that's, I don't know, very important for young songwriters to know, is that, success does take time. I'm really interested to know how your first publishing deal came to be, if you don't mind sharing. I mean, you hear stories sometimes about how it happened really quickly for people, and then you hear stories about people that maybe kind of dated their publisher for a long time. So what was that process like, getting your first deal?
Yeah, so first of all, I don't mind sharing the thing about this whole Music City Playbook idea, and what I feel like that I'm supposed to do is be real online and be real about my experience, be real about my relationships as far as what my relationship's been with publishing companies and how I'm dealing with that moving forward. And it's been positive. I've had a great, I've had a great career, but throughout that, I've learned key things that, I wish that I could have just sat down and had a conversation with myself in 2009 and be like, all right, there's a lot of cool stuff that's going to happen, but just watch out for these few things. And I feel like it would have helped my spirit and then helped my, just my creativity, because, we have to know that, what goes up must come down. So you have these hits and you have the emotions that come with that. And, but it's just like anything else. You want more and more and more. And so you can't put your happiness into like, is my song on the radio, or is this person working with me, or whatever. So it's been a learning process for me to adjust to that whole thought of just being happy with creating and just giving away your gift. And that's really what Music City Playbook is I'm giving away my gift of learning how to produce and what I know about songwriting, what I've learned about the industry. And I just really feel overwhelming feeling to give it away, because like I said, if there was any kind of information out there when I was in town, I know I would have been all over it. And everything was just so dated, whether it been in a book or online or whatever. There really wasn't a whole lot of information out there that kind of prepared you to face Nashville and everything that goes along with that, you know?
Absolutely. I feel like there's a lot of, you know, dare we say, sharks out there that say they're going to teach you the ways of Nashville if you pay X amount of dollars. And there's a lot of things that you have to beware and maybe learn the hard way when you first get to Nashville. So I love that you want to offer your real experiences, real advice. Going off of what you just said, is there one particular thing you wish you'd known when you first got here?
Yeah, and that is don't just look at people who have a deal or who are tied into certain circles. And I think I made a video on that, but even just in the last week, I met so many people that have been influential and helpful with this whole Music City Playbook, and super talented musicians. You being one of them. You know, I tune into your live stream and everything, and you're a hell of a player, singer, and everything else. And this is somebody. I mean, I didn't meet you through a publishing company, and I don't feel like in the future going forward that it should always be you know, hidden behind the walls of a publishing company to get rights or to get pitches, or you know, and I'm learning that too. I've been uploading these Logic demos, and there's other people in town or other people from other publishing companies liking these demos or hearing this, and I'm thinking, wow, this is a whole different way of pitching. You know, everybody's locked down at their house, quarantined on their phone, and they're hearing the demos that I'm working on through these tutorials. You know, and that's just a different new way of even. I had an artist text me, an artist on Warner text me. I said, hey, man, has anybody cut that song? Which they had one of the demos that I uploaded. But still, that's when it clicked. I'm like, geez, this is immediately getting these things out there. So there's a lot of things that are changing with our business and our industry. And I feel like it's important to look forward and try to think, you know, what's the next step as far as how do you market yourself as a songwriter? So with Music City Playbook, I'm trying to encourage everybody to build an online following and build their crew before they start trying to get tied up with a pub deal, because that can be a messy thing. But then at the same time, if you don't know anybody and you come to town, you're super green and you need that guidance, you need that crew of people, then a pub deal and signing away 100% may be the thing for you. Because, I mean, that kind of was my story. So, I mean, it just all depends on what your expectations are, how far you are in life and your writing. And there's just all these different things that dictate your experience here in Nashville. No, each experience is the same, you know?
Absolutely. Everyone's experience seems to be different, which I think is kind of hard on the people that first get here, because there is no set path. It's not like you want to be a lawyer, you go to law school. You know, there are certain steps that you take and certain things you do, but it can be a little confusing. So Music City Playbook is going to be an excellent tool for artists, writers, producers to have in their back pocket. I heard in one of your videos, I watched all the videos, and I wish that they had existed a few years ago when I got to town, because they are just super informative already, and you're just barely getting started. That's what's really cool about it. Is I can't wait to see what you're going to come up with next. No pressure. But I heard in one of your videos you talked about how maybe you don't necessarily need a publishing deal to be successful in this town. And I was just wondering if you would explain then what the process is for getting a song cut. So maybe you don't have a deal yet. I know you should probably be befriending artists. What are some other things that writers can do that they don't have a deal?
Well, I mean, it's exactly what you said. I mean, you said befriending artists. Well, what are the degrees of separation to get to that artist that you feel like you could really drive with? And it really does start that way. I met so many people when I traveled out on the road, when I wasn't trying to market myself as a producer songwriter, and I was just involved in the scene. So really, you don't have to have a pub deal to make connections, man. You can, if you're a guitar player, then get out on the road, man, and hang with the musicians, hang with the artists, because there's going to be people backstage. If you're out, I mean, I met so many people that I feel like whenever you get Nashville, outside of Nashville, meaning like the people that are in Nashville, if you get them in Key West or if you see them in LA, there's this Nashville thing of like, I recognize you, let me come talk to you. And I've seen it happen time and time again, where people that may be really cool and too cool to talk to me here in Nashville, I'll see them at an event in LA, and they'll see me across the room and walk over and talk to me just because it's that comfort thing of, hey man, what you doing? What, whatever that is. And I think there's something to that, which, you just have to make sure that no matter what you're doing, that you have your antennas up for an opportunity and that you're not, out there on the road, I guess you're there to work. Yes, you're there to play a show, but at the same time, you're there to see what the next step is. And I was on the road for about 2.5, 3 years before my production and things kind of started to take over on that. But I learned so much, met so many people, had so many writing relationships that developed from being out on the road, that would be what I would say is whatever. At the time, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I was playing live and I was writing songs and just kind of had my hand in everything. And I'll say, I'll double answer that question, because be flexible. And I'm going to do a video on this, but I moved to town thinking my single naive thought was, well, maybe I can go play guitar for Taylor Swift. Like, that really was a real thought. I was like a weird dude, because like my 18th birthday, my girlfriend, my wife now, she got me a Taylor Swift CD, and it was the sophomore album, and it had Love Story and all these other things on there. And I was just blown away by the production, the writing. She was young. She was close to my age, and it was like inspiring to me. And so there's a lot of cool stories that I could totally take too much of your time to tell you, but it's one of those things where when Taylor kind of took a notice in Kelsey, that came full circle for me, because Taylor's album, or really her second album, influenced me heavily. And really Nathan Chapman's production on that album influenced me heavily. And so I was like, man, I got to get to where this is happening. So when I moved to town, I played in a blues band, downtown. I mean, totally irrelevant to what I'm doing now, but I played for a fill-in gig. One of my first fill-in gigs was with Walker Hayes, and this was before he had another record deal, before he was doing his thing and that he's doing now. But I say that to say you never know who you're going to meet and where those relationships are going to cross back. I mean, I met Walker Hayes before I had a pub deal. I randomly got my first gig was flying out to go fill in for his lead guitarist that couldn't make it or whatever. And I literally met him like walking out on stage. It was just the weirdest thing. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool though, because he expects me to be prepared. He expects me to be on my shit. He's never met me. We're doing a live show. And then I was like, this is the Nashville thing. So it was a cool experience, just kind of growing and developing, trying to, figure out where my place was in Nashville. But that would be my advice. It's like, if you don't have a pub deal and you just have to decide who you feel like, I mean, if you really feel like that a certain artist would really get your vibe, then you need to literally work backwards from who's surrounding that artist, whether it be management, their friends, there's going to be somebody. And if you're out and about and you can make a connection on Instagram or whatever it may be, there are ways to get to people, because if you're talented, it don't matter what brand you have associated with you. Talent speaks for itself, man.
Absolutely. I can't tell you, and this is about you, not me, but I could say, I can't tell you how many times I made myself go to an event that maybe I was like, I don't know if I'm going to meet anybody there. I don't know if it's worth my time. And I met somebody and it turned into, multiple opportunities or something. So you just don't know who you're going to meet. So the answer is always just go to the event. Just pop your head in, just see what's going on.
Yeah, man. That's so true. And I hate being social. I really do. I don't even really like some of the events that everybody gets all excited about in November and gets all dressed up to go to.
Yeah.
My social anxiety is just, that's not me. I almost would rather be in the studio most of the time. And I'm trying to get uncomfortable about that. I know I'm going to have to do a lot more social things with, with pushing this Music City playbook. So this whole thing is making me uncomfortable. I've never cared about like learning social media or hashtags or how to upload video in the right video format and all these things that I'm having to deal with now. It's making me a better creative, because I'm using my brain and I'm editing video and I'm thinking of material and I'm thinking of how to deliver it. And I've only watched cooking videos on YouTube. So that's what I'm gaining my knowledge from, as far as how to edit and how to do certain quick things of just watching other people. And YouTube's just such I don't know. It's like you can learn anything that you want to on YouTube. Yeah. And that's kind of what I've been doing, is just trying to make this content the best I can be, give it a certain personality that may be uncomfortable for me to do. But at the same time, I'm trying to find out what's too far, what's too less, and how do you deliver this information, get your point across, but not be boring,
Absolutely. I think you've got the personality for it. Look how chatty you are. You're very open. You're very pleasant to watch. So I think you're going to be fine. We'll figure it all out.
Hey,
I would love to know, well, actually, a two-part. I guess I would love to know how you got in with Kelsey Ballerini. Obviously, you were working together, before things blew up. So how that all came to be, and then can you tell us a little about your publishing situation now, and just what you're working on now, I guess.
yeah, okay. Well, I'll say this goes back to I said in my last video that I uploaded either this morning or yesterday that I do not regret signing a 100% pub deal because of the relationships that I made, and that all these things happened at Black River Publishing, and I signed there 2011. I think it was September 2011, and I met Kelsey 2013. It might have been, yeah. I mean, yeah, it was 13. It was early in 13, I feel like, because she was just coming in there singing vocals or just using the studio for something. And what caught my attention is, she wasn't necessarily there to write a song or to take a meeting. I think she was just, for whatever reason, working with one of our engineers in the studio. And she was like, hey, come listen to this song. I just met her. She goes, I just wrote this song by myself. I got to play it for you. And she played me the song in like one of the front rooms there at the top of Black River. I'll never forget it because the song was great and she was so like passionate about it. And you know what I'm saying? Like when you first meet somebody and you can feel their passion and their emotion about the certain things whenever, especially whenever you're a young, excited writer and you just get to town. And like I remembered that, and I was motivated by that. I was like, I want to work with this girl. She works hard, and she did, man. She wrote all the time. So uh, not long after she was singing some demos in the studio, she got offered a publishing deal there. So we worked together from 2013. I mean, I would say weekly, pretty heavily, if not at least 2 or 3 times a month. And we didn't know at the time that we were making her album. We were just writing songs, having fun. But she was the first person that I got in the room with, and she didn't. We weren't trying to chase anything. We were just having fun. I was doing some weird loops and some weird things on the track that I felt was weird at the time because she was letting me do it. It didn't have to be just an acoustic lick or some kind of country feeling song. It could be a hip hop vibe. It could be a loop that I don't know, just kind of push the boundaries in 2015. I know there's a lot of that going on now, but at that time it felt super fresh. And that's kind of how that happened and how I wound up working with her. And I have to say, and this will be in an interview coming out, but we talked about whenever she got her record deal, she literally went to the people in charge of putting this whole thing together, and they were going to put her with another producer, may have been Dan Huff, may have been Jay Joyce, somebody like that, uh, and she basically was like, well, I want Forrest to do it. Well, I mean, we've been writing these demos, we've been doing all this. I mean, why can't we just keep this thing going? And of course I was blown away. And because I literally, that's all they were. We were just writing together, and these were demos. And I was spending a lot of time on them, but I wasn't spending on the time on them thinking it was going to be a record. I was just like
Right.
inspired to spend time on them. I was like, this shit's cool. I want to do this. I want to write more of this. So that's just kind of how it started. And whenever the label we started taking meetings and choosing songs, we were like, man, we got a record. We got a first record together. So that's kind of how it developed. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I'd love to just hear, I guess, how your deal with them compares to your deal now, because you're at a different publisher now, right?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I spent a long time at Black River. So when I first signed there, I was looking for my guitar. I walked in with a guitar and a notepad, and that was my writing style. And from 2011, 12, 13, there's 3 years there that before Kelsey was at Black River. And I got a few cuts in those few years. And most of those cuts that I got were just a guitar and a notepad and ideas. And I started working with an artist. It was a baby artist on Curb at the time, and his name was Dylan Scott. And I started doing some of his early stuff with him, and I started making these little demos. And I couldn't afford these $800 session demos that were happening at the time in town. And I just leaned most of my time into making these demos the best that I could. And that's where I learned to produce, was just through trying to dress up these demos. So I remember one time, I'm not going to tell you the title of the song because it's a dumb song, but it was cut. I wrote it on Wednesday and it got cut on a Friday, all because I feel like I invested the time to make a demo sound really great, and it was just the right timing. And I was like, oh, there's something to this, because I feel like I've been spinning my wheels writing, but I wasn't really focusing on the production end of things. So when I saw that start kind of helping me, I was like, well, I'm gonna double down in that. And that's kind of how it was. So I cut my teeth on a lot of other records before Kelsey's came along. So there was a little bit of, I would say a lot of bit of trial and error that was already done on the production end side before we started writing together. And then, I mean, it's no, secret that, I co-produced all that Kelsey stuff with Jason Massey. And another thing is just involving people that can elevate the whole thing. And I'm not above involving people that we're going to bring something better to the project. So I think that's important too, is just to have an open mind and to have, don't be thinking that you can do it all,
Absolutely. Absolutely. So can you take us inside your daily life as a songwriter, at a publisher? What does your daily life look like? And I know that you do a lot of like producing and building tracks and all of that too. So take us in the room, if you would.
Yeah. So, I'm sure it's not any more different than independent songwriter or one of you guys out there. I have things booked on my calendar. Most of the time it's 3 to 4 or 5 writes a week on sometimes. And
somebody else book your rights? Sorry to interrupt.
No, don't. It's no big deal. I book my rights. My current publisher books my rights, but it always changes because there's seasons. Obviously, we're not writing as much now with everything going on, and it's a good time for me to regroup and work on sessions. And I like to kind of take time to explore different sounds and different libraries of sample libraries, and just this is a good time to really explore as a producer and kind of build out your toolbox. That way, whenever you get back to the regular writes, you have all these sounds that you've explored. Because I feel like when you get busy and kind of in the Nashville system of writing every week, you don't have time to go explore. You can't like learn anything because you're too busy grinding it out. So I'm just trying to be balanced with that end of things,
Absolutely. I think this is a really great time for everybody right now. It's definitely stressful. Not trying to diminish that, but
yeah,
it is nice to have a little deep breath and see what happens creatively. In one of your videos, you talked about mechanicals. Can you explain to our followers what mechanicals are and why you said that maybe they're irrelevant? And do you think record sales, physical record sales, are going to come back? Where do you see all of that?
Well, I think it's too early to tell. There's not enough history yet of what's going to happen with that. Meaning, like, all the streaming and stuff is too new. We haven't figured out how to monetize it yet, and I'm not going to act like I got to figure it out, and because I don't. But what I do know is that we're not selling mechanicals anymore. If you're an artist that is like a Garth Brooks and you have fans that have bought your albums for years and years, yeah, you're going to sell some mechanicals. When they release the Walmart box set again for the 7th or 10th year in a row, then yeah, you're going to sell some mechanicals. But if you're an artist like Kelsey or whatever, your fans are not going to Walmart. They're consuming your stuff online. They're consuming your stuff on Spotify and the new way. So I don't know if it'll take on the name mechanicals, because mechanical means like a physical copy. To me, that's what I think. And so I don't think that we're going to go back to purchasing physical records anytime soon, but I do feel like the digital content will be better. So meaning whenever, and I think some people do this, but I think Spotify's getting better, but I wish that like on Spotify or Apple Music, when you purchase the album, or not even purchase, when you stream an album, which everybody should join a streaming service. I feel like that would help out a lot. I'm not one of those songwriters, and I probably should be, that's like all pissed off at Spotify, because I'm not as educated of what that deal is, because I know Spotify's not going away, and I'm not going to buck it. I mean, I know there's things that could be different about it, but I'm going to believe that these things are going to work itself out for the better of everybody. And once that all works out, I do believe music will be bigger than ever, because if you can pick up your phone and however old you are to, learn to work a phone and look up your favorite artists and get on a Facebook Live, man, that's powerful right there, so you no longer have to have necessarily a label, develop you and put music videos out to get your exposure out there. And I love that.
Absolutely. It's easier than ever to get your name and your brand out there. Absolutely. Do you want to play something for us?
Yeah, sure. Is there any specific song you'd like me to play?
I want you to play whatever you want to share with us, old, new, whatever you're working on. Okay.
Well, I'm just going to do some old songs because that's what I remember.
Okay. And then after you play something for us, we've got a little game, if you want to play the game.
Let's see. Never mind. I can't decide what I want to do. All right, I've been doing these Logic tutorials, and
yeah, those
are tutorials. Cool. I'm just basically opening my session and kind of showing people the plugs I'm using, the sounds I'm using, and I just remember when I moved here not knowing anything about these or how to use them. So I want to go into more detail on some of them soon, but I pulled up this old STEM session, and I'm sure I'll have a teaser out by the time you get this released, but I interviewed Kelsey for Music City Playbook Monday. And so for that, I'm going to do a video of our first breakthrough song, Love Me Like You Mean It. So I'm going to kind of do a test version on you right now of what that might be. Instead of doing like, I've been pulling up the sessions and just playing the session, be like, okay, here's the parts that I did and all that. And I don't think I want to do that with this one. I'd rather change the chords and like kind of do a remix,
Yeah, I love it.
Let me know if the sound is too much or whatever. I don't want it to blast your speakers or distort or anything, but I want to see if I can make this make sense for a second. Hold on. This thing's in the wrong key. So how do I get it to back there?
I love this. It's like we're really in the studio with you.
Well, I'm going to be embarrassed because I won't know how to do this. Let me see if I got to find it real quick. All right. I got it. Oh, hey, boy, when you have back, I'm not gonna like that. If you wanna walk my way, I'm gonna shoot you straight up. Show me what you made of. I don't have time to waste on the boys playing the games and leaving the girls crying out in the rain. So tell me, baby, do you got what it takes? If you're gonna hold me like I'm leaving. If you're gonna kiss me like you need it. Baby, if you're not, your best kid's leaving. If you're gonna love me like you mean it. If you're gonna talk the talk, you better walk it. If you wanna keep me like you lost it. If you're gonna say it, make me believe it. If you're gonna love me, boy, love me like you mean it. Oh, hey, I've had my share of losers, liars and users, looking for a heart to break. So if you're like that, I'll take a step back, 'cause I don't have time to waste on the boys that are playing the games and leaving the girls crying out in the rain. So tell me, baby, are you just crazy? You're crazy over me. If you're gonna hold me like I'm leaving. If you're gonna kiss me like you need it. Baby, if you're not, your best kid's leaving. If you're gonna love me like Yeah, man.
Yeah, dude, that was so cool.
Thank you. I actually kind of really dig that. I may do a video just like that. I was really inspired by playing that down like that. I was thinking maybe I'll just track it up and then put the video up, but that was really fun. So
Yeah, that was super cool. That was such a treat. It's really cool to hear a song that we all know so well in a different light. And
yeah,
honestly, too, I do live music for a living, and I can't tell you how many times someone has requested that song, just so you know.
that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, that was such a treat. Thank you for sharing with us. This has been so great. I just love what you're doing. I know I've said that like 10 times. I really want everyone to go check out Music City Playbook, and follow what you're doing. It's so important. It's so valuable. And I was wondering if you want to play a little game called Quarantine Questions before we let
Sure,
you go.
sure.
Okay. Who's your favorite artist you've ever worked with? Can you pick one?
My favorite artist I've ever worked with. Hmm.
I know we're putting you on the spot.
Well, no, the reason I think songwriters are artists. Yeah, if that makes any sense. So
Yeah.
you for the question you probably want is like the artists you hear on the radio. But I've learned more from songwriters that I've worked with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I mean, I can't pick a favorite, but there's several veteran writers that I learned so much from. So I'm just gonna give a safe question. I know I hate that, but my favorite days of the people of the artists who are songwriters that I work with are the older people that have been in town a while, that are still relevant, that are just seasoned. I mean, you can't walk out of a room staying in there 3 hours with that kind of brain and not come out with some kind of edge of figuring out that's why they're who they are, because that's why they write like that. So those are my favorite days. So those are my favorite writes to be in.
100%. I love your answer. Okay, lighten things up a little. Pancakes or French toast?
Pancakes.
I love it. Okay, breakfast for breakfast or breakfast for dinner?
Oh man, see, my wife hates that I don't eat breakfast. I would rather just like cruise on through the day and eat like a big lunch in the afternoon. So I'm gonna say I'm not a breakfast food person. I don't know what it is. I would just rather like have steak and potatoes. I don't know.
It's okay. I'm here for steak and eggs, so I'll allow it. What's your
Yeah.
favorite quarantine snack right now?
Mm. Favorite quarantine snack. Man, we've been this is not really a snack, but I mean, I've been eating like these been grilling a lot because you're at home, man. Just these steak salads, I just love that. I know that sounds so healthy. That's not me, but I mean, they're good. You know, we just been getting really familiar with the green egg during this quarantine, so we're just cooking a lot of steak, and it's easy. You throw them on top of a salad, and it's making, that's what holds me over. So that's my quarantine. That's what I've been living off of. So that would be my answer for that.
I love it. Okay, and last one. What is one song you think everyone should go listen to right now? Maybe an old song, maybe a brand new song.
Hmm. That's a good question. Let me look at my Spotify right now. Oh, that's well. This I think. All right, I'm just gonna say this. I think I'm just gonna tell you, if you're in like a hip hop vibe, y'all gotta go check out Jack Harlow. That stuff is just awesome to me. He's a Kentucky white boy that knows what's going on though. But if y'all want something like in the country genre or whatever, like I said, I just got done with the Kelsey interview, so I did a deep dive on her album, and there's just so many great songs on there. Whether it be Club or The Other Girl, Love Me Like a Girl, um, a country song, L.A. These are some of my favorites on her new album. So I don't know, y'all need to go check that out and see what's up.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I am so excited to see what you do with Music City Playbook. Everybody go check it out. Is it just on Instagram right now?
I have YouTube. I'm having some branding come in. I actually have a meeting tomorrow to talk about what all that looks like. I'm kind of just getting as much out there, and I've tried it on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, but Instagram has been the big reaction. So that's the one I guess doubled down and started really doing the content there, just because I feel like that's the younger generation of who's interested in this information.
Yeah.
A lot of people on my Facebook our friends from back home, and they're supportive of it, but it's not really hitting the target market. So I just can't wait. I mean, we're only a week in. I can't wait for it to hit the ears. And I know it is already, but really get out there to the people that need to hear it. Cause I know there's a much bigger audience than the 3,000 followers we have right now.
Totally. Well, I'm so excited that we got in at the very beginning. We're only a week in. That's so crazy. So I think we should check back in with each other in a few months and see what happens. I'm really excited to see where this leads you.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Thanks for doing this. And I guess we'll see you again soon. Stay safe and stay cozy, I guess.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me on here. I want to also, till I'll see you live again, I'll tune in and make more requests because you were awesome. You really were.
Thank you so much. Thanks,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. It was a vibe.